Very good morning and have a fantastic day ahead, everybody. Welcome to Bharatwaj and welcome to CS Executive Module 1 classes. Okay, we are going to get started with the first paper of this module, which is JIGL. That's how we call the paper as. It is JIGL. That's the name of the paper. A pretty long name, so we have found an acronym to address the title of the subject. Okay. So I hope you have already been introduced to the other faculties as well. I will be handling the whole of the 100 marks of this paper, that is JIGL. Myself, I'm Charanya. I have been associated with the institute since its inception, and my association with this paper and with this CS executive module has been for the past 5 years. Okay, 4 years. Now let's begin. Before that, I was totally into the CA classes. Currently, also I am with them, but additionally, I am now dealing with CS executive also. All right, more about me we will get to know as the classes progress, and whenever you feel sleepy, that time we'll have the mutual introduction session. But now, before I begin with the session, everybody, this is how the classes interaction is going to be. Okay, here and there you will have some teething issues because we are interacting virtually. At least I am interacting virtually and you are there physically, and it will probably take some 2-3 classes for you to get accustomed, and after that you will figure out. All right, so if you have any challenges, please don't hesitate. Please make sure that you reach out to PC sir for any technical issues you face there. And if you are not able to cope with the speed or with the writing of the notes part, please don't hesitate. Pick up your mobile phones. I'm there on the same WhatsApp group in which you guys are there. Please feel free to send me a voice note or a text message, and I will definitely respond to each one of your messages. All right, and if the question is too big, just ask me for a time. We will have a call quickly. All right, let's now begin with the session. I hope you all got the Bharadwaj Institute's notebook. Did you? It's a ruled notebook, right? We are going to make complete use of that notebook, everybody. And which subject did already get started with in module 1? Which subject did you guys already start with in module 1? Only company law, not taxes and all, right? Only company law. Oh, okay. You don't have taxes in this module, if I'm right. You only have setting up of business, and what's the other paper? Corporate accounting. Okay. All right. So this paper, I'm making sure, I do not know how much you write in your company law paper, but as far as this paper is concerned, I am going to make sure that there is a lot of writing work. Okay. So meaning, I hope you haven't received your study material from the Bharadwaj for JIGL paper. Is that right? You didn't receive the institute material, right? I mean Bharadwaj institute material, if I'm correct, isn't it? Did you? Yeah. You haven't got that, right? Okay. You will receive it shortly, or I'm also trying to negotiate with them to make sure that after the completion of every chapter, I distribute the handouts, because I'm trying out something new with your batch as the syllabus has completely changed. All right. Not completely, at least partly changed. So, and I also feel that the depth of the paper is coming down, so I'm probably wanting to change the pattern in which I have been sharing my notes for the previous batches of JIGL. That's why I have bought some time, and I'm buying some more time from you guys also. Until I'm ready with the material, please bear with me. And did everybody get a copy of the ICSI study material? Can you please let me know that? The ICSI study material, the Institute of Company Secretaries orange color study material, did you receive, everybody? Yes? No? The latest study material, did you guys get it from the institute on registration for the course? How many of you haven't got the material? Put up your hands, please. Let me try to understand, so that it's not too difficult for me to interact with you. So many of you. That's a big number. Did you guys register for the course? Did you all register for the course? I mean, did you register for the course with ICSI? I have a request, guys. It's a virtual interaction. please don't play dumb charades with me, nodding your head and then smiling. I'm not going to be interpretive of all that. Please open your mouth and answer. I can quite well hear you, but no nodding the head, please. Did you guys register with ICSI for the executive module 1? Yes? Oh, இன்னும் மெட்டீரியல் தான் வரலையாண்ணா? எப்படி இருக்க முடியும்? மற்ற சப்ஜெக்ட்லாம் வந்துருச்சா? 4 சப்ஜெக்ட்ஸ்க்கு ஸ்டடி மெட்டீரியல் கொடுக்கலையா இன்ஸ்டியூட்ல? Did they provide study material or not, guys?
They are now for the people who have registered.
Oh, then many of you are sitting here haven't registered then? Oh, you still have time for registration then? One of you who haven't got the material, put up your hands. How many of you haven't got the material? Let me point one of you to answer. Okay, this girl in the white dress on the right side with the spectacles. Did you register for the course with ICSI? Yourself only? You registered, right? Did you get the material? Oh, material na enna theriyala appa adha prachaniya.
It takes a month to arrive, mom. Sometime.
Oh, is that so? Is that what they say? Oh my god. And those who have got the material, what material did you receive? What edition is it? That's the orange book, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So my understanding is that majority of you have not got access to the ICSI study material also. In that case, all the more the necessity of taking notes wonderfully comes into picture. So please make sure that you write your notes really well and pack up all your study materials. You don't need them. I will try to make sure that you develop the habit of making your classroom notes exceptionally good, and we'll get a hang of it eventually. Okay, so don't expect me to dictate the notes at any point of time, guys. If I start doing it, it will become as good as just like how your college lectures will go. I don't want to do that. No dictation practices at all in all my classes. I will explain the concepts. I will show it in the form of my slides also. I will write my examples as many times as you want me to. I will repeat the topic how many ever times you want me to repeat, here as well as offline, however, whichever mode you want me to, but I will not dictate the notes. Is that clear? So the manner in which you are going to write the notes, in the next class, I will bring and show you some of the sample notes of my previous batch students which were written well. That should give you an overall idea on how to maintain notes. Is that clear, everybody? So this should probably be an overview or an inspiration for you to write notes in a professional exam classroom. Okay. So obviously we have to evolve, right? So we have to grow up. There has to be an evolution from our high schools to college education to professional course. So that evolution only I'm saying. The notes writing part, you have to consider that as an art and then start loving it and develop a passion for writing wonderful notes. So remember, as far as professional courses are concerned, the first source of reference is going to be our own classroom notes. Clear, everybody? The manner in which you write the notes is what is going to drive you to prepare for the whole of the syllabus. Clear, everyone? Of the four subjects in this module, they have kept mine on top for the examination also, meaning your CS executive journey in module number 1 will begin with JIGL. So the first paper that you'll be writing as exam itself is JIGL. Okay. Few things before I go into this syllabus overview and introduction and stuff. Instruction number 1, guys, what are the sources of reference? The first source of reference is your own classroom notes. The second source of reference, if you ask me personally, as a good friend of yours, I should suggest that you just go on with your classroom notes and with your Bharadwaj notes that is going to be printed and circulated. But if you ask me as a faculty, then the second preference should always be ICSI study material. Clear, everyone? I am repeating it again and again. It is ICSI study material. I know it's very hard when I am saying this. I am also having a little bit of a jerk in my heart. I am being absolutely ruthless when I am saying this because it is 726 pages for the new syllabus. I am repeating it. It is 726 pages for the new syllabus. Alright. It is practically impossible to read the 726 pages of JIGL study material. That's why I'm using the word. It is a reference material. Keep that in mind. So the first source of preparation and your journey to master the topics will start from your own classroom notes only. Okay. So make sure that you don't absent yourself for my classes. That's my second instruction I want to put down. Okay. So the first instruction is about the reference material. That should give you the clear instruction that regularity for my classes is very, very essential, guys. You will be absolutely enthusiastic and you will turn up for the first 5 classes probably. But from the 6th class onwards, the momentum will drop. You will either not get up or you will look at the schedule and choose which subjects to attend in person, which of them to attend online and which of them to skip. And semesters will come up, sports day will come up, independence day will come up, MOP bazaar will come up, and the attendance rate will deteriorate. This is exactly what I don't want to happen. Clear, everybody? Please make sure whether you understand or you don't understand, or you progress or you don't progress, all that does not matter. But if you have been sincerely attending all the lectures, I have seen in the past, children have cleared. There is no two ways where this has gone wrong. இதான் ட்ரெண்ட். இதுக்கு ஷார்ட்கட்டே கிடையாது சார். இதுக்கு ஒரே ரூட் தான். இதுக்கு எல்லா கிளாஸும் அட்டன் பண்ணியிருக்கணும், எல்லா டாபிக் பற்றியும் ஃபெமிலியாரிட்டி இருக்கணும், ஒரு கான்ஃபிடன்ஸ் வரணும் அந்த பேப்பரில். ஐ கேன் ஹேண்டில் தட் பேப்பர்னு. தீஸ் ஆர் த 3 essential mantras. With this, there is no shortcut. If you start skipping classes, you will accumulate the topics that you have not learnt or you have not heard the lectures about. That will only push you to a very, very deadly situation closer to the examination. Please don't put yourselves there. Even if you are not able to make it to the classes, try to figure out a way wherein you can catch up with the lectures. Clear, everybody? All my lectures are recorded and I am sure PC Sir will give you instructions on how to access recorded lectures, etc. if you are absent. Okay? Now let's move on. So remember the 2 important instructions, guys. One is notes writing and reference materials. Second is about the attendance part. Okay? Now that you all are well informed that the JIGL syllabus has undergone a change, not JIGL, the whole of CS Executive has undergone a syllabus change. Upon registration, please make sure that everybody gets only the latest study material from ICSI. Clear, everybody? Now, in the meantime, I will grab your email IDs that you have submitted upon registration and keep interacting with you through Google Classrooms also for two-way communication. Okay? So whatever I am sharing in my classroom right now, I will condense it and make it available for you in a Google Drive. Alright? So now let's start. This is our module 1 paper, which we fondly call it as JIGL. What is the name of this paper? What is the syllabus? Idhukku mattum da I am going to now spend another half an hour of my time. Okay? The first class is totally targeted towards making you guys memorize the 18 chapters of JIGL. I am repeating it. It's not 1 chapter, 10 chapter. It is 18 chapters. Okay? So meaning I am strictly competing with company law in terms of the number of chapters. Company law is an ocean. அதுக்கு ஈக்குவலண்டா இதோட சிலபஸை கொண்டு வந்துருக்கான் கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா. So 18 chapters, guys. Since which year this particular paper is there in CS Executive module? This paper is a very ancient paper, age-old paper it is. Ever since we were calling it as CS Inter, ACS Inter, appolende this paper is there. Just that the name of the paper has been undergoing changes. Once upon a time, long ago, this paper was called as General and Commercial Laws. Okay. And then they called it General Laws. And then they called it Jurisprudence Laws. And then now they are calling it JIGL. Okay. Whatever be it, paper is continuing to remain in the syllabus, everyone. Okay. This is an 100-mark paper where we will be, as company secretaries, getting exposed to, don't look at my screen, I'm just trying to check if everything is working, that's all. So, in this paper, what they are expecting out of a company secretary is, guys, they are just getting us exposed to various other Indian laws about which you are expected to have familiarity. Avlodan. Okay? Company law master pandra madhi. We are not going to master my paper. Did you understand what I am trying to tell when I mean master? Meaning day in and day out, you will be working out on things relating to company law. But day in and day out in your work life, you may not be working on matters that you learn from JIGL paper. This will probably be fundamentals or a stepping stone for a bigger middle life career or an experienced level career professional, but as a starter of a professional, when you qualify, this paper may not be of great value addition, I would say. Adnala they have only kept a minimalistic approach as far as all the topics that is in JIGL is concerned. Mastery is not what we are looking at. Expertise is not what we are looking at. We are just looking at familiarity and working knowledge. என்னன்னா என்ன அப்படின்னு தெரிஞ்சா போறோம். பார்த்து practical lifeல கத்துக்கிறதுக்கான ஒரு insight this paper is going to throw you. Okay, that's why the syllabus is so vast. Institute is also completely aware that it is impracticable for a student to learn 18 difficult chapters of JIGL within the 6 months given time. So that's why they are not expecting what? Expertise. They are only expecting working knowledge. Clear everybody? So நீ மண்டே அப்படியே காயிற மாதிரி வேர்ட் பை வேர்ட் புரிஞ்சுக்கணுன்ற எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்ட்டுக்குள்ள இறங்க கூடாது. That's the disclaimer. But you should be knowing all of them. You should be knowing what is what. You should have familiarity. That is the difference between company law paper and my paper, guys. Okay? So when I am talking about JIGL, this is the old syllabus. So nothing that you should write down from this page. Okay? Old syllabus meaning until my immediate past batch, your immediate seniors who just passed out, waiting for your exams on the August 25th to be coming. This is the syllabus that they all have been writing. Okay? This syllabus has been in existence for quite some time now. At least for the last 15-20 batches, this was the syllabus. Clear everybody? The name of the paper in full is Jurisprudence, Interpretation and General Laws. Typically, 3 different topics. Okay? And I will tell you, I'll talk more about it as we go forward. The name of the syllabus and the meaning of the syllabus, name of the subject and the meaning of the subject, I will go towards it a bit later. Let me first tell you the evolution of this paper. Look at the syllabus arrangement, everybody. We had 17 chapters. All of them are independent chapters. Notice it. Sources of law, constitution, interpretation, general clauses, administration, torts, limitation, civil procedure, Indian penal code, criminal procedure, evidence, courts, tribunals. Ipdi 17 different chapters were there. Alright. Now what they have done is, they have taken all the 17 chapters. Idilla they have strike through 3 chapters, everybody. Note the point. They have strike through 3 chapters. How many of you here are from the CSEET model? Put up your hands. I cleared my CSEET and that's why I am sitting here. Put up your hands. How many of you are from CSEET? Only 1? 2? Nobody else from girls? Only 2 of you. Can I assume the rest of you are direct entry students? Can I assume all of... Okay, how many of you are already graduates and sitting in this classroom? Put up your hands. That's a big number. All right. And can I put down your hands? How many of you are students from law schools? Put up your hands. I'm doing my major in law. I'm doing my BL, LLB. Nobody? All right. Fair enough. Okay. So those of you who have done your graduation, did you all do business laws part of your graduation? Contract Act, Partnership Act, Negotiable Instruments Act. I am not going to ask any question, trust me. I am just asking if you had an opportunity to learn any of these laws any time in your past during your curriculum, put up your hands. Contract Act எங்கயோ கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கேன், Partnership a little bit, Sale of Goods Act கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கேன், Negotiable கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கேன். Okay, all this I know what is what. Put down your hands. Okay. Put down your hands. Okay. Fair enough. I am assuming no science group students in my class. Is that right? Anybody? Only 1 of you? But did you do your CSEET?
I don't even know what is CSEET.
Did you do CS Foundation course, the entrance course?
I graduated, so I didn't have to do the course.
Despite the fact you are a science student?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So only 1 person. Okay. Probably for you alone, I will help offline. All right. So now the changes are going to be. Look at this, everyone. These were the 17 chapters. Okay. ஒரே difference தான் company lawக்கு என் பேப்பருக்கு. Company law you will have continuity between the chapters you are learning. Okay. I'm sure sir would have explained about that. So you will start with definitions, you will learn incorporation, prospectors, capital, directors, auditors. Each one of them is aligned to each other. So it's a continuous chapter. It's just one chapter that you are learning, one legislation that you are learning, which is Companies Act 2013. We are here learning 17 different legislations, independent legislations. So no two topics are interconnected. Is that clear? Meaning, don't ever make the mistake of starting to attend constitution class. 2 கிளாஸ் வந்துட்டு பாக்கி 8 கிளாஸ்ல நடுவுல 4 கிளாஸ் லீவ் போட்டுடாத, திருப்பியும் எண்ட் கிளாஸ்க்கு மட்டும் வராத. That is going to be a disaster for your own self. Okay? Is that clear, everybody? If I am going to allocate 8 classes for constitution, I will recommend and I will demand 8 out of 8 attendance, except for reasons like sickness, your vacation, your travel, everything, whatever, semester exams, whatever any other activities that you have, please plan it around that. I will tell you the number of classes I will be taking for each one of this topic. Okay? In the 17 chapters I penna pannitan solren. He has deleted this chapter, General Clauses Act. He has deleted one very big chapter called as Indian Penal Code. He has deleted one very small chapter called as Special Courts and Tribunals. I think he has probably included it in company law. 3 chapters he has deleted from the syllabus. Don't even think syllabus has been reduced. And the disaster is, this is the new syllabus. Look at the new syllabus. The syllabus count now has got 18. Okay. So, as per the promise he made here, he did delete Indian Penal Code. It's not there anywhere in the list. And he definitely deleted Special Courts and Tribunals. That's also not there in the new list. But the surprise is, he deleted an act called as General Clauses Act 1897. And he has hidden it inside chapter number 3 called as Interpretation of Statutes. So typically, how many chapters do we have in the syllabus? We have 19 chapters actually in the syllabus, technically speaking. Clear, everybody? This is our new syllabus. And the interesting part is, அவனை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் 3 delete பண்றதா கணக்கு காட்டுறான் இல்லையா? 1, 2, 3 he has deleted, right? In place of that 1, 2 and 3, he has brought in General Clauses Act. Actually, he hasn't deleted it. He has hidden it inside this one. He has included 3 chapters from the business laws. Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act and Negotiable Instruments Act. Okay? I was personally bored of these 3 legislations, and that's why I am not sticking to any of the entrance courses now. But this is chasing me. எவ்வளோ இது வேணாம்னு சொன்னாலும் இந்த 3 கோர்ஸ் எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ்க்கு வந்தது. நான் எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ் வேணாம் ஃபைனல் போனால் ஃபைனலும் இந்த 3 சாப்டரும் வந்துட்டே இருக்கு என்னோட. ஸோ தீஸ் 3 they have included it in executive module. Clear, everybody? So obviously, and needless to say, I am going to give the least of the priority for these 3 chapters, 16, 17 and 18. I will spend the less amount of time. Clear, everybody? Now let's start with the index page. Please go to the notebook, go to the first page ever. Do you have an index page there, or is it straight away starting with a ruled sheet? Does it have an index page? No? Okay. Then leave your margin. Margin is for writing the serial numbers. Leaving the margin, you will have 3 different columns. Use a scale, use a pencil and draw columns. The first one is the broadest one that will be, and that's going to be for the chapter name. The next 2 columns are equidistant columns, which means of the same breadth. Okay? Make it quicker. Okay? On the top margin, write down jurisprudence J caps, interpretation I caps, general laws G caps. Okay? G caps. Clear, everybody? Jurisprudence, interpretation and general laws on the top margin, everybody. Done with your columns? Can I get started? May I get started? Please keep answering. Say an yes or no. Okay, let's get started. I hope your columns are ready. Let's get started, everyone. Do not copy anything from my screen. This is not the order in which you are going to write in your notebooks. We are going to write them in the notebooks in the order in which we are going to learn them. Okay? There is no hard and fast rule. We should learn them in this order only. Because this is 18 independent chapters. There There is no connection between any of these chapters. Okay, so we can learn them in random order. So I am arranging them in the order of your comfort levels and the mark allocation, and I will teach them. All right. So number one, serial number one, let's get started. The first chapter that we would be starting with is interpretation of statutes. Your item number 3, interpretation of statutes. This is the first chapter we will be learning. Okay. Number 2, interpretation of statutes is the first chapter we would be learning. And then number 2, we will probably go with right to information law. Right to information law, 14th item, right to information law. In other words, this is your RTI, Right to Information Act. Okay, right to information law. This is the second chapter that we would be learning. Okay, the next one, the third item I'm going to line up for you is your arbitration and conciliation. Item number 11, law relating to arbitration, mediation and conciliation. When I am done with these 3 laws, you should be familiar with the pattern and my style of teaching, and you will also get used to notes writing and this mode of communication. So when you settle a bit, that's when I will start with the very important chapter in the syllabus, which has got the highest mark allocation in the whole of the question paper. If you are from the CSEET, I mean the CS Foundation module, then I'm sure you would have done Constitution of India already, the basics at least. For those of you who have never done Constitution before, Indian Constitution, the last time I heard this word is in my 11th and 10th standard civics. Put up your hands. How many of you are in that state? The last time I heard about Indian Constitution is in my school, civics classes. Not after that. I didn't do this topic at all. Anybody? Only one? Can I assume the rest of you have done Constitution in detail already? Okay. That's all. Balanced people, have you done Constitution who haven't raised the hands? At what point of time in life you learn Constitution of India? CS Foundation, I think the entrance module has Constitution, right? People who didn't pursue CSEET, when did you learn Constitution? Whenever it is. We are now going to learn Constitution in full. Alright? So, if it is 470 plus articles, I think we will probably be covering at least 200 plus part of the syllabus. Once again, we are not going to learn the whole of the Constitution in depth, but we are learning an extensive portion of Constitution of India, one of the biggest chapters in the study material. You will see this alone running for more than 50-70 pages. Don't be panicked. We will take a piecemeal approach. This is the chapter I will be doing for almost a month's time, part of the given time allocation for my syllabus completion. So for roughly about 1 month, so meaning if I have the luxury of 2 classes consistently every week without any disturbance, then in 4 weeks I will complete this Constitution, meaning 4 to 8 classes. Alright, so the next topic is Constitution. So I will keep that as my item number 4. I am taking Constitution very much ahead of time so that you get ample time for preparation on Constitution. If you're done with Constitution, then it's not going to be a big deal for you to complete any of the other 17 chapters. Constitution முடிச்சாச்சுன்னா இதெல்லாம் ஈஸியா முடிச்சு தூக்கி போட்டுடலாம். Alright? The next chapter after Constitution should definitely be a lighter one. That's why I am arranging Law of Torts. That's why I am arranging Law of Torts. Once again, tort law is something that students from CSEET or entrance module would have already done. For you, it would be a cakewalk. So if at all you are taking your leave for your semester examination, then this is the right time. If semester doesn't fall during it, you accordingly plan it. You cannot certainly bunk Constitution. You can't bunk arbitration. You definitely cannot bunk interpretation. Alright? I'm sorry. So after torts, it's going to be sources of laws. Make a note of it. A very, very dry chapter in the syllabus. but you cannot escape from dry chapters because there are 18 chapters, guys. And the 18 chapters la rule of the institute when setting up the question paper is very, very clear. Institute is very fond of dry chapters only. Okay, they love the dry chapters in the syllabus. So sources of law is an inevitable area where you can certainly expect a question in the question paper. This is more like your economic theories, like theory of so and so, theory of so and so. In the Egapata father of economics is there, right? So many of them call themselves as father of economics, and each one of them will have a theory, and all those theories will come with a bunch of charts when you will learn them. Something like that is your sources of law. Absolutely dry topic. You have no option. I wouldn't spend more than one class for this. பட் அந்த ஒன் கிளாஸே கஷ்டம் தான் அட்டன் பண்ணுறது. ஆனால் மிஸ் பண்ணால் அதை கூட படிக்க முடியாது. ஸோ யூ ஹேவ் நோ சாய்ஸ் தேன் டு அட்டெண்ட் த செஷன். ஆல் ரைட். ஸோ சோர்சஸ் ஆஃப் லா இஸ் அ மஸ்ட் அட்டெண்டன்ஸ் ஏரியா. யூ கேன் நாட் ஸ்கிப் திஸ். ஓகே, ஸோ ஐ ஹவ் கிவன் யூ த ஹிண்ட். லா ஆஃப் டாட்ஸ் ஆல்ரெடி படிச்சிருக்கேன்னா நீ ஸ்கிப் பண்ணுறதுன்னா அந்த டைமில் வேணால் நீ பிரேக் எடுக்கலாம் என் கிளாஸ்க்கு. மற்ற எந்த கிளாஸும் இப்போ வரைக்கும் நான் சொன்னதில் யூ கேன் நாட் டேக் அ ஆஃப். ஆல் ரைட். ஸோ த நெக்ஸ்ட் ஒன் தட் யூ கேன் திங்க் ஆஃப், I told you sources of law is a dry one, and there is another extremely dry area which is also there, but I'm not lining it up next. The next chapter that I'm going to line up is, once again, I will line up that difficult ones. I won't say difficult, I would say important ones. Okay, and then I am lining up 3 important chapters. If I start with one, I should compulsorily do the other 2 also. You actually torts படிச்ச உடனே civil procedure படிக்கணும். That is the continuity. Okay, or continuity vida you can understand the topic better. But torts is a very, very easy topic. So soon after that I don't want to talk any important one. So I am taking a dry chapter, and then I will come to civil procedure code, law of civil procedure. Clear? That will be my next chapter, law of civil procedure. Once you learn civil, it is mandatory you should learn the criminal law. So that will be the next chapter. Once you learn the criminal law, it's very, very important you learn the evidence law, law of evidence. So I will be arranging law of civil procedure, law relating to crime and its procedure, and then law relating to evidence. So basically civil procedure code, criminal procedure code, and Indian Evidence Act. Okay, how many chapters are done, guys? How many chapters are done?
9.
Louder.
9.
9.
9.
The 10th one is the actual 10th one on my screen, which is law relating to limitation, which is your Limitation Act. A very, very small legislation. இது எல்லாமே குட்டி legislation தான். நான் இப்போ உனக்கு அதையும் கேட்டகரைஸ் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கேன். Small chapters, big chapters னு preparationக்காக. I will show you that. The next chapter I would be doing is your law relating to limitation, which is your Limitation Act. Very small chapter, but again you can't do any mastery over it. You can only learn and understand what is what vaguely. That is sufficient for the exam also. Law of limitation. Okay. The next chapter that I would be lining up after my Limitation Act will be my Registration Act. Law relating to registration of documents. You heard me right? It is Registration Act, law relating to registration of documents. This is the act through which you will be learning how to get property registration related documentations done, how to get them registered. நீ கேள்விப்பட்டிருப்ப வீடு பர்ச்சேஸ் பண்ணா ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணணும்லாம். This is the same act about which we are going to be learning, registration of documents. So we don't register the transaction, we register the document. Clear? Once again, a small chapter, a very, very, very light chapter. There is nothing very intense. So I am lining up 2 lighter chapters so that we can then jump into one more dry chapter, which is your administrative laws. Which is your administrative laws. Clear? Administrative laws. Clear, everybody? After your administrative laws, I am lining up law relating to specific relief. Law relating to specific relief. although you have not done this chapter in the past, meaning you wouldn't have learned this as an act in the past, but many concepts that I'm going to discuss inside specific reliefs act are the ones that you're already familiar with, either with the current affairs or from the movies or from the various series that you have watched in the Netflix and Amazon. Many of the concepts I'm going to discuss here are the ones that you are familiar with, or the words I'm using are going to be something you are exposed to already. It's not Latin and Greek, it's a very simple chapter. So I'm lining up specific relief act. This chapter was not there in the old syllabus. Look at it. It's a latest addition. புதுசா கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்க இந்த சாப்டர். இதுக்கு முன்னாடி இந்த சாப்டர் இருக்கல. Okay? This is a latest addition. This chapter was there in the CS Executive Module 1 JIGL paper several decades back. Once again, they have brought this chapter back into the syllabus. So it's a re-entry. Alright? Specific Relief Act. The next chapter is this and this. I am under dilemma which one of them I am supposed to be giving as a recorded video lecture. Because given the time for syllabus completion, obviously we cannot complete all the 18 chapters in one go in live lecture. There are a couple of lectures which you would be watching as a recorded one at home. So I am still under a question if I am supposed to be giving Contract Act and Sale of Goods Act, or if I am supposed to be giving Stamp Act and Information Technology Act. I am not yet I haven't decided on that yet. I'll come back to you about it. But whatever be it, after specific relief, I would align Indian stamp law. Go ahead and document this. Indian stamp law. Idla compulsory question varum, I'll mark it down. That's why you have the other two columns. Okay. And of course, the next one is information technology, item number 15, which is relating to digital frauds. Information technology is relating to cyber crime, cyber laws. Ready? The last three is just like how it appears on my screen, 16, 17 and 18. Go ahead and write it. That's it. Done? Almost equal, not 8 classes, but I would at least take 3 classes of Indian Penal Code before. But that is the one that they have deleted from the syllabus. Although they have deleted one penal code, they have once again brought in the whole of the mercantile laws into the syllabus, which is a big of a pain on the neck, which is a big pain on the neck, but we have no option. At least this is something that we are little familiar with. So we have the confidence that we can manage the paper. So instead of it being altogether 18 different chapters, now at least we have 3 of them which are kind of familiar to many of us. The rest of it is all new. Alright. So this is our JIGL syllabus, everybody. And like I told you, this paper is going to be a 100-mark paper. There are so many questions that you will have about this paper in your mind. I am answering to each one of your questions right now with a, I have made a list of questions that students asked me usually about this paper, and I have documented my answers also readily for you to understand and have an overview about the paper before you ask any further questions on the syllabus. Okay. One big thing that you have to notice here is you are going to deal with paper with another core paper which is company law and another even more critical paper which is corporate accounting. Alright. Setting up of business probably is going to be, in my view, a little lighter one. Alright. With this in background, there is only one way. From day one, you have to be very clear and certain about what is the roadmap for preparation for this chapter. I have made a list like this, considering the intensity, considering the volume, and considering the importance you should be giving. These are the big chapters in terms of volume, okay? And these are the smaller chapters, meaning it shouldn't take you more than one class for learning. It shouldn't take you more than 2 hours for preparing at home also. But in the chapter, it's going to take you a little longer time. Clear, everybody? So you will go to the index page and say BS and mark it in pencil near each of the chapter. So constitution is a big chapter, so mark it as B. Administrative laws is also a very big chapter, mark it as B. Civil procedure, criminal procedure, evidence, ellame I will consider as big chapter. ஏன்னா செக்ஷன்ஸ் கம்மியாக தான் படிக்க போகிறோம்னாலும் டெப்த் நிறையா கொடுக்க போகிறோம். அதனால் ஐ எம் மார்க்கிங் இட் அஸ் பிக் சாப்டர். ஓகே, we are going to give a better depth. நல்லா படிக்க போகிறோம். we are going to learn it really well. Okay, arbitration is a big chapter I would consider. Stamp law is also a bit of a big chapter. Size wise it's small, but depth wise we will probably be doing a detailed study. Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act, Negotiable Instruments Act are all considered as fundamentals. அதனால அது நம்ம டெப்த்ல தான் போய் படிக்கணும். இந்த மூணுத்துலயும் I don't think he will expect you to be sober. He will want you to be expert in these 3 chapters definitely. அதனால yeah. Continuously you are yawning. You are going to spread that disease to the entire class. Have some water. Yeah. The next chapter, sources of law. Can I? Sources of law is a small one, dry one, both. Interpretation also I would rank it as small only, but despite the fact it is a small chapter, I will take 2 classes fully for interpretation. எதனாலன்னு நான் சொல்றேன். இதுக்குள்ள they have inserted General Clauses Act also. சொல்லாம கொல்லாம அது அங்க delete பண்ணி இங்க add பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கான். Okay? So that's why I am going to take at least 2 classes to do interpretation. Alright? But I am still categorizing it as a small chapter considering the fact they will not do into a detailed approach on the chapter. Adanala I am ranking it as a small chapter only. Okay? So we are not going to do a detailed study. And then torts is a really small chapter, definitely a very small one. Specific relief is also a very, very small chapter. Limitation is the smallest chapter in the syllabus. Registration is also a small chapter only. Right to information is also smaller, but நல்ல டீட்டெயிலா படிக்க போறோம். அப்படி பார்த்தா கூட அது smaller தான். That's why I'm putting it in small chapter. Okay? Information technology, we don't do a detailed study. அதனால I'm putting it under small chapter. This is how I will segregate my syllabus and keep it with me. This is to tell you that the amount of time allocation you're supposed to be offering for each of the items in my syllabus. Clear, everybody? Now, in terms of importance, if you ask me to rank them, then I would probably rank Constitution as number 1. This is definitely important. They do a detailed questioning on Constitution. Although there have been repetitive questions on Constitution, there will at least be one question in Constitution for a decent amount of marks which they have not asked in the past. One question is always a surprise package. Okay? And the one question we have to learn the entire constitution in detail. நம்ம syllabusல இருக்கிறதுக்குள்ள. Okay? And then the next important chapter I would say is your civil procedure. Obviously, they definitely ask one question from civil procedure. They are very fond of criminal procedure, of course. And they are very fond of Evidence Act also, of course. Okay? Because it's very easy to club a question from criminal procedure with Evidence Act. So they may club and ask them. 1, 2, 3, third row. One more time you're yawning, you're definitely having a sip of water. You know I'm talking to you. Yeah, better drink now. Quick. Clear? So, what are the other important chapters from the smaller one segment? Do they ask a question on torts? Torts la enak solla theriyala because it's a 100 mark paper. Sometimes they will ask, sometimes they don't. இந்த 3 சாப்டர் என்ன பண்ண போறானே தெரியல. We are clueless. You are the guinea pigs. With you only we are also experimenting. Your question paper is only going to tell us what's the kind of importance he is going to give for these 3 chapters. I am also going to experiment with you only. And coming to this side of the show, they definitely ask questions from sources of law. That's also an important area. They never skip to ask a question from sources of law. They are equally fond of right to information, registration. இதுல எல்லாம் கன்சிஸ்டண்டா கொஸ்டின் கேட்டிருக்கான் இது வரைக்கும். Rest of it, he will play around, obviously, because he has the rest of the question paper at his luxury, so he will play around. So the question in your mind, ma'am, எதை விடுவான், which chapters he will leave, அதை எதை விட போறான் விட மாட்டான்றதுக்கு தான் இந்த இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் நான் மார்க் பண்ணாத ஏரியாஸ்லேருந்து he will play aroundன்னு சொல்றேன். Clear everybody? இதுல எதுலேருந்து வேணா கேட்கலாம். They can ask from anything and you have very limited choice in the exam that you can skip a chapter. So if you are skipping a chapter, then that has to be an absolutely very very clear rational decision making. Otherwise it will land us in trouble. So எதை skip பண்ணலாங்கிறத after I complete the syllabus நான் சொல்றேன். Clear? Until then you will attend all the classes, learn all the chapters. Clear everybody? Now let's move on. Now this is about an overview on how would you manage your preparation style. So I have given you the bigger ones, smaller ones, the important ones from which you will certainly expect a question. So you will probably have these questions in your mind. What kind of a paper is JIGL? Is it going to be an MCQ based or a descriptive question paper? It's an 100 mark descriptive question paper. That's the biggest challenge. So you should write 100 marks of sensible content. If the question is about cock, you should write about cock. You cannot write about a dog. Even if you blabber, it has to be relevantly blabbered. That's very very essential. Because they're not expecting mastery, but that doesn't mean you can blabber any random things. Okay? And the jargons irukku par, keywords that you use for each and every chapter, adukku dhaan class attend pannum. That's where you have to make sure you document them in a different color pen and note it down and keep it. So the choice of words is what matters to manage a descriptive paper for 100 marks in professional exam for 3 hours. Clear everybody? In the question paper, you will be answering 6 questions. Is that clear? There are totally 6 questions and within the 6 questions 7 கொடுத்து 6 ஆன்சர் பண்றதெல்லாம் கிடையாது. 6 questionsல you will answer all 6 of them. Is that clear everybody? I am repeating it. It's 6 out of 6 you are going to answer in this paper. Just that question number 2 and your question number 6 will have internal choice. Clear everybody? So you will have an internal choice for your question number 2 and your question number 6 in the question paper. Clear everyone? What kind of questions do they ask? எப்படி கேட்பான் question? How would be the patternization? It is going to be a direct question like what is the role of Article 365 of the Constitution? அப்படி கேட்கலாம். Or they can ask you why is mens rea an important concept in criminal procedure? இப்படி கேட்கலாம். What, where, why, how, describe, explain. This style of direct questions is possible. This is your option number 1. Clear? If you are very lucky, then they may ask you a distinguished question also. Differentiate 2 items. But இதெல்லாம் recently எந்த batchமே luckyயா இருக்கல. Okay? They will ask a case law. This is a very high possibility. Students think case laws are a pain on the neck, but I am telling you case laws vanda you should attend. This is the scoring area. The very fact that you are attempting a case law itself will make him have a good impression on you, so you will not skip case laws. Clear everybody? So you may get a case law also. I will show you the mark pattern. I don't have a blueprint. No institute never gives a blueprint. If they give the blueprint, they can't have surprises for you in the question paper. They have to stick on to it. So they don't give a blueprint. But namble oru madri pattern study pannalam. That study only I have done. Or what they will do is, they will give you a statement. They will ask you to comment on that statement. That type of a question is also possible. This is the 4th type of question you will see in my question paper. So net, if you notice, it's a descriptive question, it's a distinguished question, it's a case law, and then it's a comment question. Meaning, I'll give you one simple example, something of the type that you will be able to relate to. If I'm giving you a statement like, men may come, men may go, but the company will go on forever. Comment. அப்படின்னு நான் கொடுத்தேன்னா, is this statement a true one or a false one? It's a true one. You will write your explanations about it, support it with some case laws, and then conclude it with the saying the above given statement is valid. In the madri style of questions is also possible. This is how the paper is going to be arranged. Clear everybody? What is the mark allocation? Question number 1 will have 4 questions, 5 marks each. Balance ellame, it's going to be 5 questions for 16 marks each. So 4 Yeah, this is the mark allocation. There are couple of questions in the question paper which would be for 8 marks. I will show you the pattern. What I have done in the past is I have made a brief study on how the question papers look like. இங்க பாரு, first questionல invariably both in June 2022, December 2021 there are questions on constitution. Okay, either for 10 marks he has asked or for 5 marks he has asked. Clear? Did you notice it? Constitution illama question paper irukadu. And then I'm moving on to one more question paper which I have, which is December 22. There is constitution question. Okay, I will show you the very recent question papers also when we start learning the topics. Okay, and then if you notice, there is also compulsorily a question on CRPC, criminal procedure. Here also you will notice in December, criminal procedure. You will note one on CPC here, CPC here also. They never skip CPC. When penal code was there, they were asking on penal code also. Similarly, look at it. One more question on criminal procedure, one more question on civil procedure. Again a question on criminal procedure. Did you notice it, everybody? Here also there has been sources of law question. There has been a sources of law question here also. இப்படிதான் நான் அனலைஸ் பண்ணி சொல்றேன் எதெல்லாம் உனக்கு இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் சாப்டர்னு. Consistently, if in the past 5 question papers that chapter has been tested, that's when I have marked them as important chapters in your index page. I hope that gives you the clarity on how I am making an analysis. Institute does not come up with a blueprint. I am repeating it. Institute never comes up with a blueprint. Clear? And in the question paper, your question number 5, I am repeating it, your question number 5 can be an 8-mark question. Instead of it having 4 questions, it will have 2 questions for 8 mark each. Did you understand what I said, everybody? I am repeating it. Totally we have 6 questions. We are answering all 6 of them. Question number 2 and question number 6 has got internal choice. Alright? Question number 5, it will not have 4 questions. Instead, it will have only 2 questions for 8 mark each. Is that clear? Quick, make a note of the blueprint in the first page. Not the blueprint, the so-called blueprint. Alright? What kind of questions do we have? Turn the next page of the notebook. Write down question paper pattern. Question paper pattern. What is the question paper pattern? Total number of questions in JIGL question paper is 6. Total number of questions in JIGL question paper is going to be 6. I hope they don't change the pattern. Okay? And then point number 2 you will write down. Question number 2 and question number 6 hyphen internal choice. So within that you will have 2A, 2B, you will answer any one of them. Or 6A, 6B, you will answer one of them. Okay. Clear? Can I? Third point. Question number 1 hyphen 5 mark questions. 5 mark questions. In the next line. Question number 2, 3, 4, 6 are 4 mark questions. Question number 2, 3, 4 and 6 are 4 mark questions. Okay? And your question number 5 hyphen 8 mark questions. Question number 5 is going to be 8 mark question. Clear? They haven't deviated from this pattern for long. I don't know if they have any surprises for you because it's new syllabus. Let's wait for further communications and update from the institute. Until then, this will be the pattern for JIGL question paper. Clear, everybody? So when they release the revision test papers or model papers, that time probably we will get a better idea. So even if they deviate, I don't think they would deviate something very farther from what it is now. This is going to be the pattern. So உன்னோட கொஸ்டின் பேப்பரை அப்படியே நீ விஷுவலைஸ் பண்ணு. இந்த மாதிரி தான் நம்ம படிக்க போறோம். So when you look at the question, first thing that you should do is to do something like that of a kindergarten student. அவ்வளோ பேசிக்லேருந்து நீ ஆரம்பிக்கணும். ஏன்னா 18 டிஃப்ரெண்ட் சாப்டர்ஸ்க்கு நடுவில் யூ ஹாவ் டு டேப் யுவர் மெமரி அண்ட் தென் புல் த கண்டென்ட் அண்ட் தென் ரைட் இட். ஓகே, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின் பேப்பரை பாரு, பென்சில் எடு கையில். கொஸ்டின் பேப்பரில் 6 கொஸ்டின்ஸ் இருக்குல்ல, சாப்டர் நேம் பக்கத்தில் நீ எழுதிட்டே வரணும். கொஸ்டின் 1 ஓகே கான்ஸ்டியூஷன், கொஸ்டின் 2 சோர்சஸ் ஆஃப் லா, கொஸ்டின் 3 இன்டர்பிரிட்டேஷன், லைக் தட். ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஐடென்டிஃபை விச் இஸ் ஃப்ரம் வேர். அதுக்காக தான் இப்போ இந்த half an hour நான் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். ஐ எம் கோயிங் டு கிவ் யூ 5 minutes டைம் ஃபார் யூ டு get yourselves familiarized with the 18 chapters in your index page. Quick, go ahead and do it. Make it faster. We are writing our examination in the December 2023, if I am correct. I don't think anybody would be attending the classes now and be writing it in June 24. Anybody like that? Anyone eligible only for the June 24? No one, right? I hope all of you are eligible to write it in the December 23. Are you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In which case, of the 18 chapters, amendments that are going to take place until the 31st of May. அப்படின்னா என்ன, the 31st of May, yeah. Until the last 31st of May were only applicable. So we have only started at post 31st of May. So we are good. Okay. We will, I mean, whatever we are learning in the classroom is up to date. That's what I mean. All right. As far as company law is concerned, you will have vast amendments. So is the case with direct and indirect taxes. But in JIGL, there will be very less amendments because all the 18 chapters that you are learning, majority of which were drafted by the British men, so they remain untouched ever since they were enacted. After that, whatever were enacted, they were a bit recent, so they never had any necessity for undergoing an amendment. So ஒரு மாதிரி less dynamic chapters தான் syllabusல இருக்கு. So we don't have to worry about the amendment part. அந்த டென்ஷன்லாம் கிடையாது. Only thing in 18 படிக்கணும். That's the only challenge. All right. Go ahead and get yourselves familiarized with the chapter headings. In the meantime, I'll show you what is this study material all about. Okay, are we ready? Can we group them? All right. So now let me tell you which of them will make a lot of relevance together. All right. So look at the 18 chapters that we have. This is our latest study material, everybody. The soft copy of this is already available in the institute website. Until you get the hard copy of the material, this is the one that you're supposed to be using. Try to download and have it in your mobile phone and use PDF reader to read it. All right. So this is the study material of ICSI. The material, this is the latest one, and I would strictly recommend that you do not use the old study material. All right. For those of you who have friends from the previous batch, in case institute is going to delay the process of dispatching them to you, maybe until then you should grab a copy of the old one and then learn the chapters that are here in both syllabuses. All right. So look at the arrangement of the syllabus. This is the 18 chapters that they have lined up for you. And if you notice, sources, constitution, administrative laws, koncham one-to-one interlinked. I am repeating, sources, constitution and administrative laws, to an extent they are one-to-one interconnected. To an extent only I can say. I won't say they are all so intertwined to each other. Conceptually, for better clarity, if you ask me, these three probably will go a little bit together. Little bit. All right. And then interpretation is the introduction to the syllabus nu vechikalam. Adanal da na first in the chapter edukuren. Because the sooner I complete interpretation, the easier it will be for me to interact with you. What is interpretation of statutes? This is about how to learn a law. So ideally, in my view, as a professional, if you ask me, they should have included this in the foundation entrance curriculum. இதை கொண்டு வந்து எக்ஸிக்யூட்டிவ்ல தான் சொல்லி கொடுக்குறாங்க. I think many of you are direct entry students. Probably that's why he has interpretation here. But this is the very, very important chapter. Why are we learning this chapter? This is the chapter which is going to tell you ஒரு நார்மல் காமிக் புக்குக்கும் ஒரு லிட்ரேச்சர் புக்குக்கும் ஒரு லா புக்குக்கும் என்ன டிஃபரன்ஸ்? How do you look at it differently? All of them are written in English, which is the global language. What is the different approach that you are going to offer for a statute? That is the lesson that this chapter is going to teach us. Very, very interesting chapter. I'll take this post. I'll start with this chapter only after the break. All right. Next one. Torts, civil procedure, criminal procedure, evidence. இது எல்லாமே ஒரே basket தான். All four of them will go into one basket actually. Okay. These four will go into one basket ideally because they four are intertwined to each other. Tort will lead to, tort is kind of civil. Civil will talk about what is not tort. Criminal procedure is the antonym for civil procedure. And to deal with the criminal procedure, you need evidences. So, ஒரு மாதிரி இந்த நாலு chapter is connected to each other in a very vague way, remote way. Clear everybody? Specific Relief Act and Limitation Act are twin legislations. Why? If I want money for the thing that I have lost, that is monetary compensation. I lost my money because prospectusla there was wrong information. So I lost money. If I have lost money, I will want my money back. In circumstances where for whatever I have lost, I don't want money. I want exactly what I have lost. Appadina, that is called as Specific Relief Act. Did you understand what I'm saying? He stopped constructing the building halfway. I don't want him to pay compensation for not completing the work. I want him to complete the work. Appadina, then Contract Act cannot give the remedy. Tort cannot give the remedy. Civil procedure cannot give the remedy. Specific Relief Act can only give the remedy. Clear everybody? So Specific Relief Act means what? That damage, that relief. Exactly the same thing I lost, I want it. Adha in the Specific Relief Act. A little bit about this you guys would have already learned. When I start teaching this, you will be able to relate. That and Limitation Act is what? Today I had my purse stolen by a pickpocket when I was traveling in a train. 10 years later, I can't go and lodge a case. It was a gun shoot or it was a terror attack at the Taj hotels today. 10-15 years later, the matter is being heard. That probably holds good because it's a bigger act of terrorism and they had taken a long time to collect the evidences and to find the facts and justify it. So, that offense, there is a timeline within which you are supposed to be filing a suit. That period is called as limitation period. என்னென்ன offense-க்கு என்னென்ன limitation period. எவ்வளோ நாளுக்குள்ள நம்ம suit file பண்ணிருக்கணும். That is your limitation law. So, இது basically ஒரு tabular column. Offense என்ன, timeline என்ன, offense என்ன, timeline என்ன அப்படின்னு இருக்கும். இந்த chapter அப்படிதான் இருக்கும். Whole chapter is like that. So, these two go together. What is the remedy for the offense? What is the time within which you will file a suit? These two are twin chapters. ஒரு மாதிரி. So, I am telling you the relevance of the order in which the institute has arranged the chapters. Clear everybody? Arbitration is an independent chapter. For all mistakes, we can't go to court. Because if we go to court, we are going to be on the headlines of the newspaper. Circumstances where we don't want to go to the court, no. We will go for an off-court settlement, which means closed-door settlement, panchayat mari. That is arbitration. இது ஒரு standalone legislation. எந்த chapter ஓடியும் இது link ஆகாது. Separate independent chapter this is. So they have placed it here. Same is the case with the next two chapters. These are into twin chapters. Stamp law is what? Today I am purchasing shares. Right? I bought shares. Bought shares. Bought a house. Sold a house. Sold a property. On the transaction, I am charging a duty. I am paying a portion to the government. So, on transactions, நீ என்ன பண்ற? That is stamp law. I bought a house and the house came on my name. That document is going on an official record. அதை record பண்றதுக்கு ஒரு இடத்துல போய் file பண்ற இல்லையா? So, this is registration of document. So, Stamp Act is on transaction. Registration Act is on the document. Did you understand the point, everybody? So, நான் ஹவுஸ் பர்ச்சேஸ் பண்ணுறேன்ல அந்த டிரான்சாக்ஷனுக்கு டியூட்டி கட்டுறேன் அதை என் பேரில் வரதுக்கு ஒரு டாக்குமெண்ட் ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் பண்ணுறேன் இல்லையா தட் இஸ் மை ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் ஆக்ட் ஸ்டாம்ப் லா அண்ட் ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் லாஸ் ஆர் ட்வின் ஆக்ட்ஸ் இதில் நான் ஒன்று எடுத்தாலே இன்னொன்று நீயே படித்து புரிஞ்சுட்டுலாம் வித் ரெக்கார்டட் லெக்சர் அதனால தான் ஐ எம் டெலிபரேட்டிங் விச் ஒன் டு கிவ் தட் அஸ் அ ரெக்கார்டட் ஒன் கிளியர் ஸோ 11 and 12 ஆர் ஒரு மாதிரி ட்வின் சாப்டர்ஸ் Right to information law, actually I will relate it to constitution. Indian constitution la ஒரு right இருக்கு. It is called as right to be informed. As a citizen of the country, we should know what is happening in our country. We have the right to knock the doors of any government department and ask, how are you working? Give me the details. Who are your employees? What is their சம்பளம்? எல்லாமே we can ask. அதுதான் இந்த right to information act. So I will relate this topic as one tiny drop of water that spilled from the constitution jug. Clear everybody? That is your Right to Information Act. Very small chapter, independent, but you can relate it with Constitution. Information technology again is an independent chapter. Digital frauds and digital crimes. எதோடையுமே சேர்த்து படிக்க முடியாது என்னைக்காவது எதுவுமே படிக்க பிடிக்கல ஏதாவது ஒன்று படிச்சோன்னு டிக் அடிக்கணும் உனக்கு சிலபஸ்லன்னு தோணுச்சுன்னா அன்னைக்கு இந்த மாதிரி சாப்டர்ஸ் எடுத்து வச்சு நீ படிக்கலாம் இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் சாப்டர்ஸ் இதெல்லாம் கிளியர் Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act, Negotiable Instrument Act எல்லாமே mercantile law bracket கீழே வரும் it's all business laws. Did you understand everybody? Then why the name of the paper is Jurisprudence, Interpretation and General Laws? Jurisprudence means what are the sources of law? Law அப்படின்ற topic எங்கேந்து வந்தது? Who brought this concept to the world? Who are the various forefathers for drawing laws? That is your sources of law topic. இந்த sources of lawன்ற இந்த ஒரு லெசன்காக jurisprudence அப்படின்ற வேர்டு கொண்டு வந்திருக்கான் juris means what group of wise thought people prudence means wise thought so the lessons or the wise thought of various people is called as jurisprudence the various schools of legal theory different countries of the world follow different ideologies India is basically based out on culture heritage our own customs tradition religion we are more spinned towards this. Certain other countries are drawing inspiration from nature. Certain other countries are drawing inspiration from society. So, எந்தெந்த country என்னென்ன approach எடுத்து laws draft பண்ணிருக்கு அப்படிங்கிறதோட overview is sources of law. இதை நான் first எடுத்தேன்னா இதுக்கப்புறம் எந்த class of JIGL க்கும் நீ வரமாட்ட. அதனால I am not taking this first. Clear? Did you understand why? But this is the meaning of the term jurisprudence. நம்மளோட சப்ஜெக்டோட டாப் மேல இருக்கிற அந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வேர்டு J stands for sources of law. இதுக்குள்ள தான் அதோட ஆன்சர் இருக்கு. இந்த ஒரு சாப்டருக்காக தான் that word jurisprudence has come. Clear everybody? And needless to tell you, how to interpret a law. Interpretation of statutes is this chapter. Chapter number 3. In the ஒரு சாப்டருக்காக தான் this word has come into the subject style. Jurisprudence, I mean the sources. How to learn law is interpretation. General laws is all the other 16 chapters in our syllabus. பாக்கி எல்லாமே general laws. Clear everybody? Did you understand the title of the subject now? I am repeating it. So jurisprudence is sources of law. Interpretation is your interpretation of statutes. Constitution, administrative laws, torts, civil, criminal, evidence act, right to information, and then arbitration and conciliation, stamp act, registration act, alright, and then your contract act, negotiable instrument act, and your what is it? Third one is sale of goods act. All of this will come under general law segment. Is the syllabus overview clear to everybody? That's it from the introduction part on what is JIGL paper all about. Now, do you have any questions for me? Any questions? Please don't hesitate to ask me. Go ahead and shoot your questions, please. Any questions about the paper? No questions at all? You need time to ask questions? Look at the index page, look into it, understand what it is about, and then tell me if you have any questions about the paper. Any questions? It can be as silly as how many hours it would take to complete the paper, or when would be the syllabus completed. Don't ask that question now. Any questions? Is the audio and the video clear? Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for me? Did you observe the shock that we have 18 chapters to cover?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very well. Then you should probably take a break for 5 minutes and then resume to the class in exact 5 to 7 minutes. Alright? We will be starting with the very first chapter of JIGL. Thank you. Bye-bye. I'm sure you got used to the premise. You have restrooms on the first floor. Let me begin with the first chapter that we are going to be learning. The first chapter that we would be learning now is interpretation of statutes. Clear? I am repeating. What is the name of the chapter? The name of the chapter is called as interpretation of statutes. Give the heading everybody on the top margin. Pick up a fresh page. Pray to yourselves that the syllabus completion and your learning process should all be very smooth. And we start with this day, which is interpretation of statutes. Alright? The first chapter that we are learning in JIGL, this itself is not a statute, meaning it's not an act. We are not learning any law. We are not learning an act. நம்ம இப்போ படிக்கிறது ஒரு ஆக்ட் கிடையாது. It's not a law. It's not like contract act, companies act, sale of goods act, civil procedure code. அப்படி கிடையாது. This is not a law. We are only going to learn a general lesson as to how to learn a law. So, interpretation of statutes is more of a lesson which teaches us about how should you read and understand a law book. Okay? So, whenever we learn the word statute, a statute means what? A statute means a law. What is a law? This is a synonymous word for the word statute. Law, other word is statute. A law can be in various forms. Okay? One of the laws is an act, and the act ku da per is statute. So basically, what is a statute? The person writing the law, whatever he is writing, no, the will of the legislature. Legislation means act. Legislature means what? Person making the act. அவரோட மனசுல whatever is there, whatever he thinks, whatever he wants to be enforced to the people of his country, that is a statute. I am repeating the word. Legislation means what? Act. Who makes an act? Legislature என்றவங்க தான் they make the act. Legislatures make the act. Okay? I'm messing up with the spelling. Legislature makes the act. They are the makers of law. So, makers of law, whatever they think in their mind, and when they put it down in a paper, that is a statute. So, if you have to understand a statute, see, when you read a book, if it was a novel, then we would try to put ourselves into the shoes of the person who wrote the novel to understand the character, isn't it? Because the author is the person who perceived the character. So we will try our level best to put ourselves into the shoes of the author to understand the characterization of a particular person in the novel. Similarly, if you are learning a statute, we should put ourselves into the shoes of the person who drafted it and then look at it. We cannot look number. I am not talking about citizens of India. People as professionals, you and I, who give an expert advice for the person who is interested in it, நம்ம அந்த லாவை படிக்கும்போது ஒரு காமன் மேன் படிக்கிறதுக்கும் ஒரு ப்ரொஃபஷனல் படிக்கிறதுக்கும் டிஃபரன்ஸ் இருக்கணும் இல்லையா? It's a medical prescription. When you as a patient look at it, you would blindly take it to the pharmacy, present it, take the medicine, eat it, and you will just want to get better. Correct? Whereas if you take the same prescription to another medical professional for a second opinion, he is not going to look at it the way you looked into it. He is going to look into it with a third eye, with a bit of an expertise, with a core understanding on what you underwent and if this was the right treatment. Isn't it? He will do a fair play. If we have to do the fair play when we learn a statute, what should we be doing? We should be looking at it from the eyes of the legislature. Who is the legislature? Person making the law is the legislature. Clear? What is interpretation? Interpretation means reading and understanding. That's all. That is interpretation. We read it, we understand it. When we understand it, we give a little bit of respect to the place and the positioning of the provision in the act. இப்போ நான் ஒரு sentence எடுக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னா the placement of the sentence in that particular book is very, very important because it's a book. It has a continuity, right? So you can't look at that sentence independently. You have to look at the context and then only understand it. That art of visualizing the context to where it belongs to, but without ignoring the intent of the legislature is called as interpretation of statutes. Clear everybody? ஒரு நாவலை இப்படி படி அப்படி படின்னு ரொம்ப சொல்லி கொடுக்க முடியாது, ஒரு அளவுக்கு தான் சொல்லி தரலாம். பட் ஸ்டாச்சூட்டை எப்படி படிக்கணும்னு what has the people, our forefathers, what have they done? Different courts had different judiciaries across the world. When you are in the process of reading a book, which is a statute, and when you are in the process of providing justice, two different judges cannot read it in two different manner and provide justice. It will become conflict in the understanding of the will of the legislature. Yeah? So if Madras High Court is saying hang him, then one other High Court cannot give a contradictory opinion for the offense done. Isn't it? Interpretation should be uniform. But it is very, very hard to attain uniformity because English is after all a foreign language for all of us across the world excepting for one or two. So each person will understand the language differently only. Did you understand the point, everybody? So there is a very many possibility. A will understand in 10,000 manners and B will understand it in a million different manners. So there is going to be conflict of interpretations. In the conflict resolve pananona, what can we do? There were different judges across the country who have laid down certain rules. Idallam da best practices. So when there was a best judgment passed, we go to the judge, we approach him, we ask him, how did you take this approach? He would probably say, this is the way I approached it, that I am documenting it. Like this, people, our forefathers have documented the manner in which the judiciaries were able to read and understand the law. அதெல்லாம் ஒரு புக்கா போட்டு அதை interpretation of statutes அப்படின்னு publish பண்ணிருக்காங்க. So that future generations will read this and get an idea on how to read the statute. நம்ம அந்த ரிசர்ச்சை பண்ண வேண்டாம். Somebody has already done the research. நம்ம அந்த footsteps follow பண்ணா மட்டும் போறோம். That is why interpretation of statute is a guidance tool for us to read the statute தானே தவிர அதுவே ஒரு statute கிடையாது. That's why I have given this caption. It's not a statute. It is something which tells you how to read a statute. Yes, sir.
Your slide is not visible.
My slide is not visible?
Yes.
Oh my god. I have been writing for a long time. Girls in the very first row, what are you all doing? Why haven't you been highlighting? You seem totally comfortable with a blank page. Oh my god. You're telling that to me after I have written so much. Thank you for bringing it up, sir. Okay. So interpretation of statute is not what? It is not a statute. I am repeating it. It is something which will tell us how to learn a statute. This is a bunch of lessons that have been documented based on the various approaches of the judiciaries across the world. Clear, everybody? You must be always on your toes. All of you will come to the tip of the chair, come to the front of the chair, don't lean back. Come to the front of the chairs, everybody. Sit straight, everyone. Focus on the slides. Yes, focus on every bit of what I'm saying. Always keep a pencil by your side and a pen by your side. Whatever you're not confident about, write them down in pencil. Whatever you're very clearly heard from me or you have clearly seen from my screen, put it in pen. Give the heading Introduction to Interpretation of Statutes. I want all of you to be doing parallel writing. Do mind mapping, everyone. Don't feel lazy to be writing. Okay? If you stop writing, you will start yawning. I don't want you to yawn. Yes. Pick up the notebooks, everybody. Use the notebook and the pencil effectively. Quick. எப்படி மைண்ட் மேப் பண்ணும் நான் சொல்றேன். Listen. This is how you will do the mind mapping. Your notes must be written in the manner you understand. Is that clear? Yes. That's a very important instruction. உன்னோட நோட்ஸை உன் பக்கத்தில் இருக்கிற ஃப்ரெண்டுக்கு புரிகிற மாதிரி நீ எழுதக்கூடாது. தட்ஸ் அ வெரி கிளியர் இன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன். ஓகே, அது உனக்கு மட்டும்தான் புரியும். The day your friend understands your note, he will stop coming to class. He will borrow your notes, take a photocopy of it, sit comfortably at home. So you should not write it in the manner your friend understands. Is that clear? If I were you, this is how I will write my introduction. IOS, Interpretation of Statutes. In that I will give my introduction. What is IOS? Not a statute. Point number 2. What is IOS basically about? IOS is wise thoughts, lessons given by judiciaries, the various court judges, judiciaries. இப்படிதான் in mind map பண்ணிட்டே வரணும். Every point must be documented. Did you understand what I'm saying, everybody? If need be, put charts, put diagrams, put explanations clearly, and then document every bit of what I'm sharing. You never know what's going to be of help tomorrow. Clear? Keep writing continuously. So what is statute? Statute means a will of a legislature. Legislature, legislation are two important terminologies that you have learnt for the day. In case you have already learnt it, well and good. If you haven't been exposed to those two words, I definitely want you to document these two words in your notebook. Legislation na oru law. Legislature na yaru? Who is a legislature? Person who are makers of law. What is a statute? Statute is a will of the legislature. Whatever the government, not the government, the parliament is the makers of law in India. Parliament, whatever it desires to be the law of the country, that they are writing it, right? So they are putting it on papers and they are declaring it officially to be the law. That is the will of the legislature. Clear, everyone? It's a will of the legislature. We are going to learn how to interpret the statute. For that, we should first be clear what can be the various types of statutes. In India, we have multiple types of statutes. We are one of the countries which has got a very, very wonderful legislative system, and we cannot take pride for that. 75% of that credit should definitely be given to the British men who have ruled the country for several decades. Okay, most of the laws, the legal systems, the eye-opener for us to bring up a very, very efficient and robust legislative system in India goes to the British men. From there on, we have followed their footsteps, and of course, we have adopted some westernized concept from the United States and other countries, and we have made modern laws after that. But for a major portion of the share, we give the credit to the British men. They are the ones who have explained to us how a legal system should be, what are the places where things has to be put in place. இதை சொன்னது அவங்க தான். அதனால only we are having these many types of statutes in India. Clear? What are the various types of statutes? There are so many words that are used here, but I'm not going to do a detailed drive through all of them. உனக்கு ஒரு அளவுக்கு புரியுற மாதிரி I will try to put it in simple words. Okay. So if for example, in a country, if you take for example, there are very many laws. நம்மளோட index page எடுத்தாலே உனக்கு புரிஞ்சு போயிடும். Take the index page, I will give you an explanation. For those of you who are planning to do module 2 also, உனக்கு இன்னும் நிறைய examples கிடைக்கும். ஒரு மாதிரி CS curriculum முடிக்கும் போது you will know the variety of laws that India has got, right? If I am talking about business, for example, guys, if I am talking about business, I now want to regulate business in India. Is that clear? I'm just wanting to regulate businesses in India. So to regulate business in India, whatever was required, that I have made it in the form of a law. So mostly இதெல்லாம் என்ன மாதிரி laws? Regulatory laws. What are all my regulatory laws? I wanted to have a good show. எதுவும் அதால பிரச்சனை வந்துடக்கூடாது. I wanted to run decently. I wanted to run smoothly. I wanted to run legitimately. அதனால பண்ண laws தான் Companies Act, right? Partnership Act, Contract Act. All of that will come under these wing, right? So ICA 1872 will come there. Indian Contract Act will come there. Sale of Goods Act will come there. These are all basically what laws? I didn't make this law because something went wrong. I wanted to make these laws because I want them to run smoothly. அதுக்காக பண்ணப்பட்ட laws இதெல்லாம். So things are happening. I want to have a check on them. I want to take a control on them. So they are basically regulatory laws. Clear, everybody? Now, if for example, I'll give you another bunch of an example. Look at it. There was a series of incidents on sexual harassment in India. There was a series of incidents on money laundering in India. There was a series of incidents on corruption in India, right? இப்படிலாம் நடந்துட்டு இருக்கு. On one side, there are either laws or there are no laws in India for these lists. So when there is a bunch of offense which are coming newly into the country, then there is a necessity to put them in place. அதனால I am making a law for this. Correct? But what are these offenses? Sexual harassments or money laundering or corruption, if you notice, I just don't want to punish them after it has taken place. Meaning, if I do that, it will sound more like what? நீங்க பண்ணலாம் இந்த மிஸ்டேக் எல்லாம், நீங்க பண்ண அப்புறம் நான் பனிஷ் பண்ணிக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, it's like I am wanting you to try it out once. Isn't it? That's not my intention. What is my intention in these cases? These three are, I would say, zero tolerance zones. Means இதெல்லாம் you should not dare to do it. அப்படி. Isn't it? You get my point, everybody? If this was the scenario, then what kind of a law should I bring for this? If this was the scenario, if it was a zero tolerance zone, red alert area, then what kind of a law should be put in place? இத பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறமா remedial law நான் பண்ணணுமா? பண்றதுக்கு முன்னாடியே பண்ணக்கூடாது அப்படின்னு நான் law பண்ணணுமா? Should I make a remedial law or should I make a preventive law for these? I should make a preventive law for this, isn't it? So what did India do? India made a Prevention of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act. And then it made a Prevention of PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. And then it made a Prevention of Corruption Act. So if you notice, everybody, these are matters for which the country comes up with what kinds of laws? It comes up with a preventive law. Meaning, I want you to understand that there is a ban on you from even entering these perimeters. Did you understand? That doesn't mean I will only ban and I will not remedial action. In the act kulla remedial actions irukum, but the act is so powerful in nature that they are preventive legislations. Did you understand the significance of it? Now, take for example, when I am talking about an offense could either be civil in nature or it could be criminal in nature, isn't it? An offense could either be civil in nature or it could be criminal in nature. When I am talking about a civil offense, everybody, let me give you an example. A Limited has issued a prospectus saying, I am going to do the business of making fruit jams. Okay? And A business has collected money through prospectus from the general public. Alright? But A Limited did not do any fruit jam business. They were into some business which is probably a prohibited area. Smuggling or something like that. Trafficking, something. Alright? So, this was found and the business was shut down. ப்ராஸ்பெக்டஸ் இதுல ரெண்டு மிஸ்டேக் இருக்கு. ஒன்னு, ப்ராஸ்பெக்டஸ்ல there was a misstatement. I lied in my prospectus. I took money from the public. Point number 2, I took money for an illegal purpose. Something else which is more gross is also there. All right. But for the investor community who lost the money, no, what do you think will make them happy now? They lost their money. So what do you think will make them happy now?
Get back their money.
Get back their money, right? எனக்கு போனது பைசா தான். ஸோ எனக்கு பைசா திரும்ப வேணும். உனக்கு போனது உன்னோட வேல்யூஸ், ரைட்? இஃப் ஐ ஹாவ் டு கரெக்ட் இட், that's not what I am looking at. For me, what I lost is my money. So I lost money, I get back money. So if money is my objective of remedy, monetary remedies, இதுதான் என்னோட objectiveனா, then it is civil in nature. Did you understand the provision? It is civil in nature. Whereas my intent is not to get monetary remedy. You have done something wrong. You have cheated me. You have told me you are doing A business, but you have done B business, which is a fraud. போய் சொல்லிருக்க நீ அந்த இடத்துல. If I leave you today, you are going to be repetitively issuing a wrong prospectus. I want to stop you from doing that. அதுக்கு I should teach you a lesson. ஒன்ன நான் பனிஷ் பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். If the intention is punishment, then it is called as what in nature? Criminal in nature. Did you understand the provision, everybody? Needless to tell you, இதுக்கெல்லாம் laws India இருக்கிற காலத்திலேருந்தே இருந்துட்டு இருக்கு. Civil law has been there from the 18th century. So is the case with criminal law. But there were so many criminal laws, so many civil laws. இது எல்லாத்தையும் ஒன்னா சேர்த்து I am making one single civil law, one single criminal law அப்படின்னா that's called as a code. Did you understand what I am saying? I am repeating it. Now, இப்போ நான் சொன்ன எக்ஸாம்பிள் இருக்கு பாரு. Company issued a wrong prospectus and collected money. Is both a civil offense and a criminal offense under what act? I spoke company, so obviously it's an offense under Companies Act. இதே ஒரு பார்ட்னர்ஷிப் ஃபார்ம் பண்ணியிருந்தா you will call it a partnership firm has done a mistake. So partnership act கீழே, but the act is criminal and civil. That act only will punish. But in the மாதிரி in various laws there are provisions for civil matters and criminal matters. Clear? For a foreigner who come to India, he will go mad if we start hunting for civil and criminal mistakes in that legislation. அதனால எங்கெல்லாம் civil அப்படின்னு காதுல விழுதோ, எங்கெல்லாம் criminal அப்படின்னு காதுல விழுதோ, அதெல்லாம் we have consolidated it, we have put it in one place. In one single place, solution is available. If I am consolidating a bunch of laws and putting it under one roof to give a wholesome picture, that's called as what? That's called as code. Did you understand, everybody? That's called as a code. உனக்கு இன்னும் ஒரு good example சொல்றேன். அப்போ உன்னால இதை better relate பண்ண முடியும். Now listen very carefully. If a company has not got enough funds, then what will you call the company as? Insufficient funds to pay debts. Then what will you call the company as?
Insolvent.
Okay, I'll call the company as insolvent. So eventually the company will go into winding up. If a partnership firm, and it is dealt under which act? It was dealt under the Companies Act for a long time. Isn't it? இதே partnership firm இருந்தா, what will you say if a partnership firm goes into a situation of insufficiency of funds? There also you will call it as insolvency. Which act is dealing with it? Partnership Act is dealing with it. Isn't it? If an individual is becoming insolvent, then we will talk about the insolvency laws of the individual. So, ஒரு insolvency position for different characters, we have different legislations to deal with it. Isn't it? There is no one single law for insolvency until a long time. What did we do in 2016? We brought the concept of insolvency under one roof and we made a law called as what? Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of India 2016. Updin one roofla we made a law. Note the point, everybody. These are not remedial laws. These are not preventive laws. Laws are already in place. Multiplicity of laws. I am consolidating them, codifying them under one roof. இப்படியும் நிறைய laws இருக்கு இந்தியால. Did you understand the position, everybody? Did you understand the position, what I am trying to tell? I am trying to give you a picture on what are the different types of laws that we are seeing in our country. Okay? I hope you got the point. Let me repeat it once again. I am trying to explain this point where we are in codifying a law or consolidating. Codifying a law means what? I am grouping them. Indian Penal Code, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of India, Criminal Procedure Code, Civil Procedure Code. Adella codifying laws. Got it? Those are all what laws? Codifying laws. A penal law is penal code. Penal code will come under penal law also, and then codifying also. Full of punishments alone. That's a penal law. That's a penal statute. I'm sorry guys, I just changed the battery for my mouse and that's why it's hypersensitive. It's crawling on its own. That's not my mistake. I will regulate it by the next class. Okay. The next law is what? Consolidating. What's a consolidation? Today we are learning Companies Act 2013, everybody. That doesn't mean this is the first of the company law we are learning. Idukku munnadiyum there was a company law. We had Joint Stock Companies Act, we had Companies Act 1913, we had Companies Act 1956. Just that today we are learning the latest version of company law. Okay, but இது ஜீரோலேருந்து கிரியேட் பண்ண law கிடையாது. It had so many predecessors, right? 1860 Act was there, 1913 Act was there, 1956 Act was there. All the predecessors, I am consolidating it, making some changes, bringing in one roof. That is consolidation. இப்படியும் இருக்கலாம் laws. Right? Companies Act 2013, it's just about a decade old. It has undergone amendments several times. Those are called as amending statutes. Clear? Those are called as what statutes? Amending statutes. So a statute can be under various wings. It can be a code, it can be a remedial law, it can be a consolidating law, it can be an amending law, it can be of any different types in India. So this is all based on nature of the legislation. அதான் சொல்றான். And the will of the legislature என்னன்னு புரிஞ்சுக்கோ. What is the purpose of this law is very very important. Only when you know that you can interpret the act. For example, I will tell you. You tell me under which of these baskets you will put it. I am going to now talk about a law like this. Maternity Benefits Act. Okay.
Act.
Industrial Disputes Act. Payment of Bonus Act. I am giving these three illustrations. Now you tell me, idla endha basket நம்ம அத போடலாம்? You tell me. Look at this. Is it a codifying law? Is it a declaratory law? Is it an remedial one? Is it an enabling law? Is it a disabling or a restraining law? Is it a penal law? Where will it best fit? இங்க இருக்கிறதுக்குள்ள. Come again?
Maternity Benefit Act will come under enabling law.
It will come under the enabling law. I am trying to enable what in these cases, guys? I am trying to enable maternity benefits for women. So it is more of a what kind of a law? I am enabling a benefit for a community of beneficiaries. So it's a beneficial legislation. So not all laws are for regulating or for stopping or for punishing or for codifying. They can also be necessarily for bringing out a welfare scheme. So it's for providing or benefiting maternity, women on maternity, and workers for their bonus, means their profit shares. And then to stop a dispute and to provide for a dispute-free industrial environment. So, idella endha mari legislations, enabling legislations. That's why they are saying will of the legislature is very very important in understanding the meaning of the statute. Clear everybody? Clear everybody? So, நான் சொன்னேன்ல, like for example, if you notice, right? Contract Act, Partnership Act, Sale of Goods Act, Negotiable Instruments Act are all law relating to money, men and material. Business laws in the category. Alright? That's about to which basket they belong to. That doesn't talk about their nature. But nature என்னன்னு கேட்டா, they are regulatory laws. Clear everybody? Company law is a corporate law. Securities Contracts Regulation Act, Securities Exchange Board of India Act, brokers act, merchant bankers act, idella securities laws. Correct? So foreign exchange management act, prevention of money laundering act, idella economic laws. Clear? Income tax act, GST, tax related laws are all fiscal laws. Nature based பண்ணி classify பண்றது ஒரு வேதம். Other type is based on their purpose of enactment. இப்ப நம்ம என்ன டைப் பண்றோம்னா அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணிக்க, we are not looking at whether it is a corporate law or a securities law or a economic law or a business law. That we are not trying to understand. We are trying to understand அது எந்த basketல வேணா இருக்கட்டும். I want to know what is the purpose of that law. Did you understand, everybody? Only when you know that you can master the art of interpretation. Did you understand the position of what is meant by statute clearly? That's the meaning of the term statute. Any questions up to this? Did you understand what is a statute clearly? Did you document it? Can I move one step forward? We'll now move to the next step. Okay? The next step that we have to understand is what is the meaning of the term interpretation. Interpretation means what? Deriving the true meaning. That is interpretation. I am repeating. Interpretation means what? Deriving the true meaning. Our duty as a professional. Somebody is coming to us for a legal opinion. Our duty is just to make sure that we understand the law in the manner it is written. I am repeating. We have to understand the law in the manner it is written. Meaning, if there are 10 words in a sentence, we are allowed to interpret only the 10 words. அங்க இல்லாத ஒரு word, meaning something which is not there, that we cannot assume and interpret. Did you understand what I am trying to tell everybody? So if there are 10 words in the sentence, children will usually have this problem, right? So I am giving you a question. Question has got 4-5 sentences. Okay? இப்போ for example நான் இப்படி எழுதுறேன். Ram and Shyam இப்படி ஒரு சென்டென்ஸ் நான் எழுதியிருக்கேன். How are you supposed to be reading it? Ram. So the manner in which you are going to read it is Ram and Shyam went to market to buy fruits, vegetables, grocery, etc. இப்படி தானே படிக்கணும். But when you read, if you read it as Ram and Shyam went to the market to buy fruits and vegetables and grocery, etc. இப்படி நீ படிக்கிறனா, what is the mistake you have done in the second sentence, everybody? What is the mistake you have done in the second sentence, everyone? What all mistakes you made in the second sentence? Only if you had observed that, you are a true professional. Otherwise, you are not concentrating.
Added the word the.
I added the word the. I also added what?
And.
I added the word and twice in places where it was not present. Correct? So the sentence did not have the usage of the word and in 3 places. It only had the usage of the word and in one single place. Did you understand the difference, everybody? So Ram and Shyam went to the market nu padichiruken. To buy fruits, kama irukku and padichiruken. Vegetables ku appuram onnume illa and padichiruken. And grocery, etc. and padichiruken. Note the point, everybody. It may not make a big deal for somebody who is reading a novel or a literature, but it does make a big deal for somebody who is reading a statute. Clear, everyone? Every single punctuation, articles, any pronouns that you add to the vocabulary to enrich your reading is grossly a mistake as far as a statute is concerned. Clear? அதுதான் அவன் கொடுத்திருக்கான். Object of interpretation is to see what is intended by the words used by the lawmaker. அங்க என்ன இருக்கோ அதை தான் நம்ம interpret பண்றோம். You cannot add words. You cannot deduce the words. You cannot add any masala to the legislation that you are learning. And legislation has to be learned in the manner it is existing. That art is called as interpretation. Deriving the true meaning of the legislation. This is a very natural tendency, right? நம்ம படிக்கும்போது நம்மளே இமேஜின் பண்ணிடுறோம் நிறைய விஷயத்தை. That imagination நீ ஸ்டாப் பண்ணணும். That's about interpretation of statutes. Is the rule of interpretation clear, everybody? The first lesson that interpretation of statute is teaching us is about this rule. Okay, listen to me. What is the first rule I am teaching about interpretation? It is casus omissus. That's the name of the rule. It's a Latin term meaning case of omission. All right, casus omissus. What is casus omissus meaning? When you read a law, if you find a missing word, okay, I am repeating it. Casus omissus means what? When you read a law, if you find a missing word, you will ignore it. இந்த இடத்துல மேபி ஒரு எக்ஸ்ட்ரா வேர்ட் இருந்தா கிளியரா இருக்குமே. Remuneration of managing director shall be returned in case of default. In case of those in default, those add panna better இருக்குமே. No, you cannot imagine. Whatever is there is what we are supposed to interpret. If something is not there, we are not going to add and imagine and consider. நம்மளோட வேலை கோர்ட்ல உட்கார்ந்துட்டு நம்மளோட ஒர்க் எரர் ரெக்டிஃபிகேஷன் கிடையாது. We are not doing BRS. We are not accountants there to make corrections in the bank passbook, customer passbook. இதெல்லாம் நம்ம வேலை கிடையாது. Law is already there. What is there? படி apply பண்ணு முடிஞ்சது. Casus omissus rules means what? In case of omission, if you feel something should have been provided but not provided, or if you think it is not addressing to the situation, you will keep calm. That's all. You will just keep calm. Words in the statute will speak for themselves. நீ அங்க எதுவுமே fix பண்ணக்கூடாது. Court's duty is not to fix the errors. Did you understand, everybody? You cannot add words, you cannot correct words. When alone you can do it. It's an obvious printing error. அப்படின்னா then court can do it, not you and I. Okay? Similarly, if it was a glaring absurdity, punctuational something has grossly changed the meaning, then court may do it. You and I cannot do it. Alright? Casus omissus rule is telling us what is there will be interpreted to the bone. We will not deviate from it. I am repeating. What is the meaning of the rule? This is called as cases of omission. In cases of omission in law, wherever we feel extra words are required or short of words, we will not add them, we will not correct them. That's the meaning of the rule. Okay, we wouldn't add any, we would correct any. This is our casus omissus rule. Clear? Now, for example, I am putting up two sentences like this. Tell me, what do you interpret from this? What is the meaning of the sentence? Remember the rule of interpretation. Remember, I am reading the sentence from a statute. Appadin assume panniko. So this is a sentence in the statute. Let me keep a period here. So, okay. Now you tell me, how would you interpret this sentence? Let me read the sentence aloud. Life was simple when apples and berries were mere fruits. How would you interpret this sentence, guys? How would you interpret the sentence as? What are apples and berries? They are what? They belong to the category of what? Fruits. Sentence is saying life was simple when apples and berries were fruits. Meaning it is giving us a feeling that today there are no more fruits. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Or do you have a better meaning attached to it?
Apple, now Apple products are coming.
Okay.
Apple and Apple.
Blackberry.
Basically, life was back then when apples and berries were only fruits, and now it is products and
Now
it
they are
is company.
gadgets.
Yeah.
So as long as apples and berries were merely the names of fruits, life was very exciting. The moment they started naming it for gadgets, people became too engrossed to the gadget apple and the gadget berry than the fruit apple and the fruit berry. So life is not anymore merrier. This is the idealistic approach. ஆனா இந்த சென்டென்ஸ் ஒரு ஸ்டாட்யூட்ல இருக்கிறதுனால generally what are we supposed to be doing? We will first apply the first rule. If we understand the sentence in the manner it is appearing to us when we first read it, படிச்ச உடனே நம்மளுக்கு இப்போ என்ன தோணித்து, ஆப்பிளும் ஃப்ரூட்டு பெரியும் ஃப்ரூட்டு, அது ஃப்ரூட்டாகவே இருந்திருந்தா நல்லா இருக்கும்னா இன்றைக்கும் அது ஃப்ரூட் தானே, அபத்தமாக இருக்கே அப்படின்னு நினச்சி, if you are trying to apply a logic to it and understand, no, that's not what they mean. It doesn't make any sense. Probably they are trying to tell us something else. வேற எதுவும் சொல்ல நினைக்கிறாங்க. What was that? இங்க probably let us substitute apples and berries as what? Gadgets. இப்போ it gives better meaning அப்படின்னு உனக்கு தோணிதுன்னா, then that is also a correct way of interpreting only. Here I will consider apples and berries as what? As gadgets. இப்போ படி. Life was simple when apples and berries were mere fruits. When I am looking at them as a gadget, it makes a lot more sense right now. Did you understand the point, everybody? Now I am making another sentence. Tell me whether you will. So நீங்க ரெண்டு புரிஞ்சுருக்க, இந்த இடத்துல I can't apply literal meaning, logic apply பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு புரிஞ்சுருக்க. Is it correct, everybody? Is that the lesson you all got? I cannot apply what interpretation here? I cannot apply literal interpretation. I should apply some common sense. I have to apply some logic to interpret this sentence னு புரிஞ்சிருக்க. Now I will write one more sentence. Tell me, இதை நீ எப்படி interpret பண்ண போற? An apple a day keeps a doctor away. Would you interpret the word apple here as gadget or as a fruit? Naturally, gadget na apply பண்ணனா insolvent ஆக வேண்டியதுதான், right? So here I will naturally apply what meaning to it? I will apply the meaning that apple is a fruit. What interpretation did you apply in the second sentence? Did you apply a literal meaning or did you give a logical meaning to it? Literal meaning to it. Did you understand, everybody? இததான் நம்ம interpretation of statutesல rules of interpretation அப்படின்னு படிக்க போறோம். Clear, everybody? This only we are going to learn under the concept interpretation of statutes as what? Rules of interpretation. The first rule of interpretation that we are going to learn is called as rule of literal interpretation. Clear? The second rule that we are going to learn is called as rule of reasonable construction or logical construction. எப்படி வேணா சொல்லலாம். Rule of reasonable construction or logical construction, or this you can also call this as golden rule. எப்படி வேணா சொல்லலாம். Either ways. Clear, everybody? The next rule we are going to learn is rule of harmonious construction. இதெல்லாம் நான் next class சொல்றேன். Okay? Then we will be learning rule of exceptional construction. What is this exceptional construction? This is one of the brilliant rules that we will be applying day in and day out as a professional from tomorrow. Company law class la ella class ku இது important. There are 4 words that by oversight you will miss when you read something. என்னென்ன words? நான் இப்ப பண்ணனே அதே mistake தான். Or, and, may, shall. It's a human tendency. Parallax error மாதிரி right? கார்ல blind spot மாதிரி நம்மள அறியாமையே நம்மளே மிஸ் பண்ணக்கூடிய விஷயங்கள். There wouldn't be an or there, but you will read, there will be an or there, but you will read it as and. There will be an and there, but you will read it as or. Or there will be and or an or, but you will ignore them and read it. எப்படி பண்ணாலும் disaster தான். There will be a may there, but you would have read it as shall. There will be a shall there, you would have read it as may. So, this is the rule which tells us, இந்த 4 words lawல வந்ததுன்னா பாஸ் பண்ணிடு, ஃபர்தரா படிக்காத, ஸ்டாப் பண்ணி இன்னொரு வாட்டி கரெக்டா படிச்சிருக்கோமான்னு செக் பண்ணு. லாஸ்ட் ரோ லாஸ்ட் கேர்ள் இன்னொரு வாட்டி நீ யான் பண்ணேன்னா ஒரு crocodile அப்படியே உள்ள போயிட்டு கம்ஃபர்டபுளா டேமேஜே இல்லாம வரலாம் வெளில. அவ்வளோ பெரிய யான். ட்ரிங்க் சம் வாட்டர், சிப் சம் வாட்டர் quickly, make it faster. Grab some water and drink it. Next one. Okay, the next rule. The next rule is called as rule of ejus dem generis. What is this? Law பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் we talk about specifics. Like for example, if I'm telling you, when you are on an aircraft, you cannot carry knives, guns, etc. அப்ப நீ ஸ்வாட் எடுத்துன்னு போலாமா? Can you? I'm using a sentence. When you are flying on an aircraft, you're not supposed to be carrying in your hand luggage knives, guns, etc. Does it mean you can carry a sword with you? No. So what is the indication here? If knives and guns are not allowed, then we will try to make a category out of it. Knives and guns are what? Items or objects that will harm people. Any other item which will harm people is also prohibited. It is the rule of ejus dim generis. Ejus dim generis means what? Word categories na artham. Clear everybody? Word categories abdin artham. So if I am using the words like a bunch of generic words, whenever we use the word etc. and others and the like, இப்படிலாம் யூஸ் பண்றோம்னு வெச்சுக்கோ, then முன்னாடி என்ன வேர்ட்ஸ் இருக்குன்னு படிக்கணும். அதே வச்சு தான் you will assume the words etc., others and like. So law generally have to be specifics only. Very rarely it will use the word generic words. அப்படி யூஸ் பண்ணா how to understand. That is about rule of ejus dem generis. Clear? Did you understand? Does it make sense now? The next rule is very important rule. This rule is called as mischief rule or beneficial construction rule. Very, very, very important rule this is. Beneficial construction rule. What are these rules basically, guys? These rules are some of the techniques that we are applying to understand the provisions of law correctly. நான் படிக்கிறதும் நீ படிக்கிறதும் ஒரே மாதிரி தான் இருக்கணும். ரெண்டும் வேற வேற மாதிரி இருந்தா then I will do something else. நாளைக்கு நீ ஜட்மெண்ட் பாஸ் பண்ணும்போது உனக்கு அது தப்புன்னு படும், நான் பண்ணது எனக்கு ரைட்னு படும். ஸோ இப்படியே எண்ட்லெஸ்ஸாக போயிட்டு இருக்கக்கூடாது ஆர்குமெண்ட். ஐ கீப் சேயிங் வாட் ஐ டிட் இஸ் ரைட் only, you keep saying what I did is wrong only. It doesn't go that way, right? Things has to work out at an amicable place. We need an equilibrium, isn't it? If that equilibrium is to be arrived at, then all of us should interpret law in the same manner. கண்டிப்பா அப்படி நடக்காது. அப்படி நடந்தா there won't be disputes in the world. But to an extent, if there has to be harmony, then we all should be able to think alike together. That's why we are applying these techniques on how to interpret laws. All of them we are going to learn with wonderful case studies and examples in the next class. This is my introduction to what is called as rules of interpretation. Clear everybody? So in this chapter, what are we going to learn? In interpretation of statutes, we will be learning about rules relating to interpretation, and then some aids relating to interpretation, and then, like I already told you, little bit of General Clauses Act, which was deleted from the old syllabus and included here. General Clauses Act kulla 30 sections irukku. Alright? Of the 30 section, now they have shortlisted 10 sections alone and they have included it inside your interpretation of statutes. We will learn them all in the next class. Being the very first class, today alone I am winding up the session a little ahead of time. But from the next class onwards, it will go until 8:30, 8:45. Get ready for it. Alright? Thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure interacting with you. Let's meet on Thursday. On Thursday, we start the class sharp at 6 o'clock with a briefing on whatever we have already covered, and then I will start with each and every rule in detail. Clear? Please bring a full-fledged stationery kit from the next class onwards. No compromises. I will give you a reminder in the group if you need. Thank you. Bye-bye.